Well, it's getting harder to find a voice for my own mind and a reason for changing my ways. Under the signs that shine down on Piccadilly, I meet my love.
So you notice the thresholds opened on the two microphones for his louder part, and I have it on a slow release, so it doesn't clip. It just gradually disappears. Now I'm not using the compressor. The reason I didn't put that into the preset is because that's going to change depending on who you record and what your source is. So I could put it in, and you can see where it's quite. I'll mute the other two tracks. I'll mute the reverb mics. But this is a really good compressor. It's got everything.
Well, it's getting harder to find a voice for my own mind and a reason for changing my ways. Under the signs that shine down on Piccadilly, I meet my love for the first time with a rose and over the road.
So that is a good compressor. It works very smoothly. The range, I mean, I brought it down to where I usually compress vocals to about 3-to-1, sometimes 2-to-1, but you might want to change that. I know on Bowie's microphone I did a lot of compression because he sang soft and loud on the same microphone, hardly moved back, and there was always a little distortion on his voice when he sang very loud. I mean, I could probably emulate this with Jim. Well, I haven't tried this before, folks. This is very dangerous. Don't try it at home. Try it in the studio.
Well, it's getting harder to find a voice for my own mind and a reason for changing my ways. Under the signs that shine down on Piccadilly, I meet my love for the first time with a rose.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. That's both room mics opened up. Let's see how the same amount of vocal compression works when Jim is singing softly, because this is going to be you're going to have to tailor make this plug-in work for you and your source, whatever singer you use or snare drum you use, whatever.
I think it's time I found a new religion.
Well, that's pretty good. With that compression on the vocal, his opening line did not open up the rooms. So pleased to know that. Okay, I experimented a bit with a snare drum sound in the big hall, the master hall, and I did something a little different. Whereas with the vocal, it was one vocal mic going into the hall, which was the classic way I recorded David Bowie's voice. But now I'm trying to put a snare in the hall, and I'm doing it a different way. You don't have to set it up the way it's normally prescribed. I have both snare, the top mic on the top of the skin, and the bottom mic going to an auxiliary channel, so they're being mixed to a channel, and I'm sending the combined snare microphones to the first microphone in the Tverb preset. So the two snares are being picked up by this first mic. I'm adding a bit of compression to the snares, just hold them back a little bit and make sure that every beat is a solid beat. And what's interesting, like Jim Stapley's vocal, is the drummer starts out quietly and then he explodes. So when he's doing his quiet little like fiddly bits on the snare drum, I don't have the room opening up because realistically the room wouldn't open up. And it's just kind of when he belts it pretty loud, I have both microphones opening up in the room at the same time, because really it's a drum, it's not a human voice. So you want, when the drummer hits it really hard, you want both microphones to open up and you hear the explosion in the room. So for this I used the link. So I linked the first threshold to the microphone 3 as well as microphone 2. And I EQ'd the room a bit. This particular snare is very big. We went for that big fat sound. And the room kind of made it sound very fat too. So I've actually EQ'd this. I've cut minus 7 dB at 97 hertz. I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers now, but when I record, when I mix, I always use my ears first, and then I look at what frequency I was doing this at. So here's a bit of the drum sound. I'll solo it. Like on that first one, well, down here, you don't really hear it open up when he's playing silently. So all his little tick, tick, tick stuff doesn't really open up the mic. But when it opens up, it's a big room. And that is, you know, if you hear a drummer in Hansa, that's what you hear, you know, if you're standing far away. But with the drum kit, Phil Spector, Eat Your Heart Out. So that's one application. So, you know, main difference, you don't have to use one sound per input of a Tverb. You can, in my case, I grouped 2 sounds and put it into the Tverb, and you could do it with a choir. You know, I do have, in fact, a choir on this track, and let's see what the choir sounds like in Tverb. And I'm going to throw all the choir, 16 tracks, into the Tverb. So in this case, these are the female backing vocals in the song. They are coming down the center mic, and all eight tracks of them. And instead of having the mics spaced too far apart from each other, they are similar distances, but different, slightly different. So the mic on the right is 41 feet away from the females, and the second mic is 37 feet away from the female choir, 36 degrees to the right, and the other mic is 41 degrees to the right. So I will illustrate this by, you will hear the mono sound, and I'm going to use the shift and drag the shift key and drag both the distant mics down, and you'll just hear the ladies by themselves. You know, that was recorded the typical way in a modern studio. I have 3 people huddled around one Omni microphone, so the studio's dead, it's completely dry. And I'll show you what I found with giving them the Hansa sound by putting them through Tverb. So here we go. So you could hear the second one, they were in the room. And one of the characteristics of Hansa Studios is that there is a riser there where the choir would be higher than the orchestra. So I'm sure they had up to, you know, 60, 70, 100 people in choirs in that room, and the acoustics were just out of this world. So there again, these are the ladies. You know, we're capturing the complete width of the room. Here are the males. Just the purpose of the male track was just to put a little bit of weight on the bottom. I think that was Jim and the guitarist and myself doing these backing vocals, so we didn't track it as many times, but you know, it sounds quite plain, quite Gregorian chant, but if you add Tverb to it, you know, a lot of other manufacturers, if you did this, you would hear the glitches, but this is just pure tone. It's the pure sound of Hansa Studios. And the men and women put together make this glorious sound. There's a little bit coming up. Pretty stunning. So that was 12 tracks thrown into one instantiation of Tverb. By the way, I'm naming these presets as we do this demo, and I'm inventing these presets right in front of your eyes. So if you like what you heard, these will be there. Okay, this isn't the mix that was released when the record came out 2 years ago, but if I had Tverb, this would have been closer to the mix I had in my head. So here are the three things I just showed you. Jim Stapley's lead vocal going through Tverb, the snare drum going through Tverb, and the choir going through Tverb. And it's a very rough mix, you know, almost a board mix. I took a lot of the effects off that I had originally on this mix back in the day, but these just three elements just changed it and made it really like leap to life. So here's a first verse and first chorus of New Religion.
'Cause lately I've been called by the feeling things don't quite fall into place. Well, it's getting harder to find a voice for my own mind and a reason for changing my ways. Under the signs that shine down on Piccadilly, I'll meet my love for the first time with a rose. And over the road, there's a beggar man who's a grinning. He's waving hello to me.
That's a very beautiful song. Wow, I got emotional listening to that. And that's what music should do to you. This doesn't take a lot of power from your computer. I mean, I've got 91 tracks open here, and I've got 3 Tverbs with 3 lush reverbs, 3 complicated reverbs on each session of Tverb here. So you're going to love it. It's just great.